Well, as we said, it's 100 days of Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra, and early this morning, 40 Congress MLAs from Himachal Pradesh, along with the newly appointed Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister, have started walking with Rahul Gandhi as the Yatra brings up that milestone.
Right, Himachal Pradesh, where the Congress won the assembly elections, has proved a much-needed boost to the political party that has in the past few years lost ground in states. So newly elected MLAs, the walking with Rahul Gandhi works on the optics that the Congress is still in the reckoning where elections are concerned.
Well, the Congress's biggest outreach in recent years has seen the Bharat Jodo Yatra headed from Kanyakumari to eventually Kashmir. Right now, it's in the only Congress-ruled state in its journey, Rajasthan, and 150 Padyatris are walking continuously with Rahul Gandhi on that march as he looks for a grassroots connect, and the Congress aims to rejuvenate itself as well.
The Yatra is being projected as a platform for dialogues and for social and political narratives, and has been joined by well-known faces like Raghuram Rajan as well as Kanhaiya Kumar, to actors that have been joining in, whether it's Riya Sen or Swara Bhaskar. But today we have the newly elected Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister joining in the Bharat Jodo Yatra in order to mark the 100-day.
NDTV's Sunil Prabhu caught up with the Himachal Chief Minister. Let's listen.
I'm joined by somebody who's become the new Chief Minister of Himachal. Many congratulations. Why are you going for the Bharat Jodo Yatra?
भारत जोड़ो यात्रा में हम इसलिए जा रहे हैं कि कांग्रेस पार्टी का जिस विचारधारा का प्रतिनिधित्व राहुल गांधी जी ने भारत जोड़ो यात्रा के तहत किया, उनका मकसद देश की एकता और अखंडता के लिए, और जो नफरत देश में फैल रही थी,
पर वो तो हिमाचल भी आ रहा है ना सर?
उस संदर्भ में हम उनके साथ 40 विधायक, प्रदेश अध्यक्ष उस एक प्रतीकात्मक रुख के लिए जा रहे हैं.
But all of you, he's coming via Himachal, he's going to Kashmir. तो अभी क्या जल्दी था सर जाने?
हिमाचल के साथ वो टच करके जा रहे हैं. हिमाचल में आ नहीं रही है, हिमाचल को टच करके जा रहे हैं.
The other important point, sir, is about cabinet formation. Pratibha Singh, you have been in consultation with Rajiv Shukla, with Mr. Venugopal, with Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. Is it clear that now the Veerbhadra's legacy is going to ensure that his son will be part of the cabinet?
The Congress legacy is always there. And after
what about Veerbhadra's legacy?
After Vidhan Sabha session, we will discuss on it.
No, but the issue about Mr. Vikramaditya, will he be in the cabinet? Is that clear?
Yeah, definitely, he's a young man, and definitely we will think over when cabinet will come into the power.
In terms of cabinet formation, sir, because the big issue is about Operation Lotus, about the BJP attempting to break and they have done that in Madhya Pradesh. We have seen that in various other states, in Rajasthan, as you saw what Mr. Ashok Gehlot said. Is there a fear in Himachal, if you don't do the accommodation well, that Pratibha can go switch over or anything like that will happen?
Nothing happened. It's media creations. Congress will remain in power for the next 5 years. We'll serve the people of Himachal. Don't worry.
Okay. The other point, sir, which is about funds, about money, and about the old pension scheme. How are you going to manage that? Because that's the big crisis. Everybody's asking. Nirmala Sitharaman has very clearly said, I'm not ready to give back the money because the scheme is very clear for it has to be, it is a central fund. It cannot be given back to the state. So how are you going to fund this old pension scheme?
आने वाले समय में we will implement it.
पर पैसा कहाँ से मिलेगा सर? ये सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है ना, पैसा कहाँ से मिलेगा?
अपने रिसोर्सेज से पैसा मिलेगा, और आपको आने वाले इसी महीने में हम ओल्ड पेंशन स्कीम लागू करने जा रहे हैं.
And one last question about Sonia Gandhi and Manmohan Singh had started that Atal tunnel. Are you now going to get back their foundation stone, because that was removed and it had become a big issue? And how are you going to fulfill your electoral performances?
The main questions की जो अटल टनल वाली बात, इसका फाउंडेशन स्टोन श्रीमती सोनिया गांधी जी ने यूपीए चेयरपर्सन के तहत किया. A.K. Antony was defense minister, Mr. Prem Kumar Dhumal was chief minister. The then BJP government was in the power, and 4,000 crore has been sanctioned by the government of India with the consultation, with the recommendations of defense ministry. उसके बाद इनॉग्रेशन के टाइम में उनका पट्टिका को हटाकर दूसरी तरफ रख दिया. We are going to reinstall it on 2nd of January in Manali.
What are you going to tell this, Rahul Gandhi, who's walking so long? It's going to be 100 days. What is the message that you want to convey with 40 MLAs? Are you going to say you all are going to be united, no fighting? Because there are a lot of demands. As Chief Minister, you will feel the pressure. Every MLA wants to become a minister.
No pressure. Very relaxed. Always relax.
और क्या मैसेज है आप राहुल गांधी को जो अभी वो यात्रा पर है?
नहीं, राहुल गांधी जी के लिए तो हम सब जा रहे हैं, क्योंकि राहुल गांधी जी इज नॉट ए इंडिविजुअल है. वो एक आइडियोलॉजी को रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं. कौन सी आइडियोलॉजी? जो कांग्रेस पार्टी की देश की एकता और अखंडता की आइडियोलॉजी है. आफ्टर जीतने के बाद बीजेपी की वहाँ सरकार थी. जेपी नड्डा वाज नेशनल प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ बीजेपी गवर्नमेंट. अनुराग ठाकुर वाज ए कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर ऑफ बीजेपी गवर्नमेंट. वहाँ हमने बीजेपी को हराकर कांग्रेस पार्टी की सत्ता लाई है, जो और सब विधायकों ने फैसला किया है. अभी 3 दिन हुए हैं, अलग 4 दिन हुए हैं कि हम सब लोग जाके एक यूनाइटेड फेस होकर राहुल गांधी जी को जो हिमाचल में जीते वो तोहफा देंगे.
So here you have it, the Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh saying that he will find the funds for the old pension scheme, and we'll have to wait and see how things play out. But definitely Veer Brothers' legacy is going to be carried forward with definitely his son being accommodated in the Himachal Pradesh cabinet.
Sunil Prabhu reporting on that story. Moving on, the world sees Pakistan as the epicenter of terrorism. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has said, asserting that the international community has not forgotten where the menace stems from, despite the brain fog induced by over 2 years of COVID. He made those remarks while addressing reporters at the UN Security Council's stakeout.
That's right, Ankita. Mr. Jaishankar was responding to a question on Pakistan Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, that's Hina Rabani Khan's recent allegations that no country had used terrorism better than India. He invoked the US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who at a joint news conference back in 2011 with the then Pakistan Foreign Minister Khan had said you can't keep snakes in your backyard and expect them only to bite your neighbors.
On this occasion, let me therefore highlight 4 specific challenges with which the counter-terrorism architecture is currently grappling. 1. The issue of terror financing and state culpability. 2. Ensuring the integrity and accountability of the counter-terror multilateral mechanisms and their working methods. 3. Addressing double standards in countering terrorism, leading to concerns of politicization. And 4. Countering threats from the misuse of new and emerging technologies by terrorists. This is likely to be the next frontier of our battle. The question of justifying what the world regards as unacceptable should not even arise. That certainly applies to state sponsorship of cross-border terrorism. Nor can hosting Osama bin Laden and attacking a neighboring parliament serve as credentials to sermonize before this council.
Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar strongly hitting back at his Pakistani counterpart Bilawal Bhutto Zardari for raising the Kashmir issue at the United Nations Security Council meeting. Mr. Jaishankar is in New York to preside over 2 events on counter-terrorism and reformed multilateralism being held under India's current presidency of the United Nations Security Council. India's permanent representative to the UN, Ambassador Ruchika Kamboj, was chairing the debate when Mr. Bhutto spoke. The foreign minister emphasized that the credibility of the United Nations depends on its effective response to key challenges.
We are obviously focused today on the urgency of reforming multilateralism. We will naturally have our particular views, but there is an ongoing convergence at least that this cannot be delayed any further.
If we want to see the success of multilateral institutions, the success of multilateralism, the success of this very council, then surely you can aid in this process and allow for the implementation of UN Security Council resolutions when it comes to the question of Kashmir. Prove that multilateralism can succeed. Prove that the United Nations Security Council, under your worthy presidency, can succeed and deliver peace in our region.
Mr. Jaishankar's comments came as the United Kingdom and France, both veto-wielding United Nations Security Council members, reiterated their support for a permanent seat for India. However, that seemed to have irked Pakistan, with Mr. Zardari saying adding new permanent members to the United Nations Security Council will only add to the paralysis of its working.
Paralysis at the Security Council.
An argument most, barring China, simply don't buy. Bureau Report, NDTV.
It's exactly 10 years since the horrific gang rape and murder of a young woman on a bus in Delhi. She died a few days later from her injuries after battling for life bravely. As she lay in a hospital bed fighting for her life, the press had named her Nirbhaya, or the Fearless One.
The main accused, the bus driver, was found dead inside jail a few months after the crime. 4 others were hanged in March of 2020, while a juvenile convict was released after 3 years, the maximum punishment allowed under that law.
Well, 10 years after the Nirbhaya horror that shook the conscience of a nation, made global headlines and led to weeks of protests and forced stringent new laws for crimes against women to be brought in, there will be a candlelit vigil to honor Delhi's brave heart. This evening, the big question, of course, whether things have changed significantly in this country when it comes to women's safety. And of course, a recent incident that's that's challenged that perception that things are safer is an acid attack on a 17-year-old Delhi schoolgirl. Hours after the Delhi Commission for Women sent notices to Flipkart and Amazon in connection with the sale of acid, the online e-commerce platform says it has blacklisted the concerned seller.
That's right, Ankita. It's quite shocking how easily acid is available, whether it's online or offline. But it's Flipkart that's gone on to say that it's slowly monitoring and delist products that violate expected standards. And the development comes after the police said that the accused in the Delhi acid attack case had ordered the substance from Flipkart. The minor has suffered injuries on her face as well as her eyes.
On Wednesday, 2 men on a bike threw acid at the 17-year-old, allegedly after a breakup. The main accused, Sachin Arora, and the survivor were reportedly in a relationship but broke up 3 months ago. We will take a quick break now, but lots more coming up, including the Bihar Chief Minister saying he's not going to give compensation to those who died in a spurious liquor tragedy.
Kita, that's in fact claimed 40 lives as of yesterday. So we'll get you more details on the other side. To stay with us. Welcome back. The latest from Bihar. In the Bihar, a huge tragedy kills 40 people, and the Bihar Chief Minister rejects the possibility of giving compensation to the families of those killed by spurious liquor.
He said, in fact, people should be more vigilant anyway, and that the state had prohibitions since 2016. As Divya points out, 40 people now dead in Saran district in the most recent tragedy. The government has been facing massive protests over alleged laxity in implementing prohibition.
40 people dead in Bihar after drinking spurious illicit liquor. And in the Vidhan Sabha, a political storm on the issue. BJP MLAs protested and raised slogans against the Chief Minister.
The state government has completely turned its blind eye towards the subject. They say it's our policy, we don't care, people die at other places as well.
And adding to the political storm, Chief Minister Nitish Kumar's controversial statement, if you drink toxic liquor, you will die.
लोगों को सचेत रहना चाहिए. यहाँ तो शराब बंदी है, तो कुछ गड़बड़ तो बेचेगा ही, तो लोगों की मौत हो जाती है. जो शराब पिएगा वो तो मरेगा ही, ये तो उदाहरण ही सामने है.
But that's little consolation to families of the dead.
एक घर से 3 को आदमी.
किसका डेथ हुआ आपके घर में?
2 भाई का, इनका भतीजा का. भाई एगो चाचा लगे, एगो चाचा के लड़ी का एगो.
तीनों ही परिवार के सदस्य हैं. आप इनकी कौन है?
बेटी.
47 people are admitted in hospital, some of them in danger of losing their eyesight. Clearly, the danger is not over as drinking spurious liquor can cause organ failure and lead to permanent blindness.
बहरहाल जो घटनाक्रम हुआ है इसमें जब से सूचना प्राप्त हमारी होनी शुरू हुई हम लोगों ने पूरे जिले में मद निषेध विशेष समकालीन महाअभियान चलाया हुआ है। इसके अंतर्गत 48 घंटे में 126 शराब कारोबारियों को गिरफ्तार किया गया है।
Bihar and Gujarat are the two main states in the country that have prohibition, while states like Kerala and Haryana had to lift the policy because the implementation was a challenge. With Harsha Kumari Singh, Sneha Koshri for NDTV.
उस दिन तो कुछ नहीं हुआ, दूसरे दिन भी कुछ नहीं हुआ, कल तीसरे दिन हुआ। लैटरिन गए थे सुबह 6 बजे तो एक चक्कर सा आया, उसके बाद धुंधला दिखाई दिया। अभी भी वैसे धुंधला ही दिखाई दे रहा है। दारू पी के बैठे मगरे का दिन दारू पियला ना था ना चरल सब हम दिखा जाएंगे पिया हो गए पता ना शादी उदी रहे वही पार्टी में कौन से कोई ले आके पिया
खरीद कर पिए थे?
नहीं, दूसरे किसी ने लिया था, शादी में गए थे ना।
कितने आदमी पिए थे आप लोग?
बहुत आदमी पिए थे।
क्या तकलीफ है आपको?
सुबह से मतलब थोड़ा आँख में थोड़ा कमजोरी महसूस।
रात में खाना वाना खा के सोए, तबीयत कम लग रहा है।
अभी
वो ये दुर्गंध कम है, आज थोड़ा कष्ट पाने, थोड़ा सांस लेने में थोड़ा असुविधा होता है।
कि सबसे ज्यादा अगर जहरीली शराब से मृत्यु हुई है तो वो भाजपा शासित मध्य प्रदेश राज्य है, जहां 1214 लोगों की मृत्यु हुई। कर्नाटका दूसरे नंबर पर, कर्नाटका पहला भी भाजपा शासित और दूसरा भी भाजपा शासित राज्य कर्नाटका, यानी 909 लोगों की जहरीली शराब से मृत्यु हुई। उसके बाद पंजाब आता है 725 और उसके बाद फिर चौथा नंबर पे हरियाणा आता है, 476 लोगों का डेथ हुआ।
In other news, BJP party president JP Nadda was in Karnataka as the state geared up for the 2023 state elections. He has in fact inaugurated 10 new BJP bhavans in the state.
That's right, Ankita. Now the question being, could the current Chief Minister versus the former Chief Minister Yediyurappa be just one of the challenges before the party?
With just 5 months to elections, BJP Chief JP Nadda inaugurated 10 new bhavans in Karnataka, addressing the crowd after inaugurating the offices.
मुझे खुशी है कि 296 कार्यालय बन करके तैयार हो गए।
Attacking the opposition Congress, but the party leadership insisted there's no factionalism within its own ranks. Just ahead of the BJP chief's arrival to the state, news of rift between Bommai and Yediyurappa grabbed eyeballs. But Bommai ruled out difference between him and his mentor.
ಅದು ಶುದ್ಧ ಸುಳ್ಳು. ಸರ್ವೋಚ್ಚ ನಾಯಕರಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವರನ್ನ ಮುಂದಿಟ್ಟುಕೊಂಡೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲಸ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಅವರ ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದ ನಮಗಿದೆ. ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಡ್ಡಾಜಿಯವರ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
However, BS Yediyurappa's office confirmed to NDTV that he was not invited initially and that his name was added to the guest list in the last minute.
That is not correct. Everybody is giving respect.
Mr. Yediyurappa, when he was faced with tough questions on being neglected by the party, he quipped that they are simply controversies.
ಕಷ್ಟಪಟ್ಟು ಪಕ್ಷವನ್ನು ಕಟ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ನಡ್ಡಾಜಿಯವರು ಕಾರ್ಯಾಲಯದ ಉದ್ಘಾಟನೆಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು ಒಂದು ವಿಶೇಷವಾದಂತ ಸಂದರ್ಭ. ಆ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಕಷ್ಟಪಟ್ಟು ಬೆಳೆಸಿ ಕಟ್ಟಿರುವಂತ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಒಬ್ಬ ಪ್ರಮುಖ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುವಂತ ಸಂಗತಿ. ಇಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರಾದರೂ ನನ್ನನ್ನು ನೆಗ್ಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಈ ಥರ ಮಾತುಗಳು ಹೇಳುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಆ ಥರ ಯಾವುದೇ ಪ್ರಸಂಗ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಒಟ್ಟಾಗಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ಒಗ್ಗಟ್ಟಾಗಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ಒಂದಾಗಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಏಕೈಕ ಗುರಿ ಬರುವಂಥ ದಿವಸಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಜೆಪಿನ ಅಧಿಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ತರುವಂತ.
कांग्रेस के नेता राहुल गांधी कर्नाटक में
Mr. Nadda took swipes at the Congress for dividing communities, slamming Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, whose Bharat Jodo Yatra spent more than 3 weeks in the election-bound state.
मैंने कहा ये भारत जोड़ो यात्रा नहीं है, ये भारत तोड़ो यात्रा है। और ये प्रायश्चित यात्रा है, क्योंकि इनके पूर्वजों ने भारत को तोड़ने में कोई कसर नहीं छोड़ी।
In Bengaluru, Shrija for NDTV.
In other news, the police have finally got major material evidence in the murder case of Shraddha Walkar. A DNA test has confirmed the bones that alleged killer Aftab Poonawalla had led the cops to in a jungle in Delhi's Mehroli area were in fact Shraddha's.
That's right, Ankita. The test report carried out using DNA samples from her father came in over a month after her boyfriend, Aftab Poonawalla, allegedly has, in fact, they were live-in partners, and then she was found dead. He was arrested for having killed her in May. He had chopped up her body into 35 pieces that he had kept in a fridge and later dumped in the jungle near their rented flat in South Delhi's Mehroli over 18 days.
श्रद्धा मर्डर केस में जो CFSL लोधी रोड से रिपोर्ट हमें मिलनी थी वो मिल चुकी है। वो रिपोर्ट है वो पुलिस के लिए हेल्पफुल है। अभी इन्वेस्टिगेशन जारी है। इसके साथ साथ जो रोहिणी लैब से हमें पॉलीग्राफ टेस्ट की रिपोर्ट मिलनी थी वो भी मिल चुकी है। वो भी इन्वेस्टिगेशन में हेल्पफुल है।
And in the aftermath of the Aftab Poonawalla Shraddha Walkar case, bachelors looking for accommodation in Noida are facing trouble, Ankita.
Yeah, it's a very unexpected sort of fallout really of the case. But the fact that, landlords are not wanting to rent apartments out to bachelors. In some cases, bachelors are even being evicted from societies where they are already staying. Take a look.
An alarming fallout of Aftab and Shraddha Walkar murder case. Bachelors being turned away from housing societies in Noida in Delhi NCR. This notice posted at the gate of Noida's Antariksha Society is not the only such instance of landlords closing their doors to bachelors. The residents of Welfare Association of the Supertech Emerald Court in Noida has issued a notice to homeowners.
You have already seen Siddha and such cases which is happening here. Who is responsible? It is the RWA or the security of the society which will be made responsible. So that part we are taking care.
But are such diktats even legal?
See, a society can't give any such notice. It is illegal. There are a couple of things to consider when we test the legality here. One is that a rent agreement is between the owner and the tenant. So how does a society come into play to give such a blanket eviction notice? If any eviction notice has to be given at all, it can be by the owner of the property.
Residents of such housing societies cite various reasons for not wanting bachelors in their neighborhood.
These boys, they come from surrounding colleges and all those places, and they feel that being in a hostel, it's very restrictive. So for freedom only they come to these places.
प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि जब ये फ्राइडे आता है ना, जब इनका वीकेंड आता है तो ये 2-3 डेज में ये लोग ना पार्टीज बहुत करते हैं. उसकी वजह से क्या है, डिफरेंट तरह के पीपल्स आते हैं, डिफरेंट तरह के लोग आते हैं, फिर हम लोग परेशान हो जाते हैं.
This has come as a major calamity for young bachelors seeking accommodation in Noida.
When I started talking to brokers and all, then I realized that to get a place for a bachelor to live in is kind of difficult because generally societies don't accept bachelors coming to their place and living. It was really difficult to manage work and finding an accommodation at the same point of time.
Bachelors have always had trouble finding accommodation in NCR. But after the Aftab Shraddha horror story, homeowners are now more nervous. In this situation, life for youngsters living away from their families to study or to start a career has just gotten tougher. With Raghav Gautam, Bureau Report, NDTV.
The world sees Pakistan as the epicenter of terrorism. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has said, asserting that the international community has not forgotten where the menace stems from. He was making those remarks while addressing reporters at the UN Security Council's stakeout.
Mr. Jaishankar was responding to a question on Pakistan Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Hina Rabbani Khan's recent allegations that no country had used terrorism better than India. He invoked US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who at a joint news conference back in 2011 with the then Pakistan Foreign Minister Hina Rabbani Khan had said that you can't keep snakes in your background and expect them only to bite your neighbours.
Hillary Clinton actually said that if you have, I'm giving you the sense, it's not an exact quote, that if you have snakes in your backyard, you can't expect them to bite only your neighbors. Eventually, they will bite the people who keep them in the backyard. But as you know, Pakistan is not great on taking good advice, and you see what's happening there. In terms of what they are saying, look, the truth is everybody, the world today sees them as the epicenter of terrorism.
Union Law Minister Kiran Rijiju, while answering a question on the pendency of cases because of vacancies in the judiciary, has said that the Constitution envisaged that the government appoint judges to the higher judiciary, but with a Supreme Court judgment in 1993, the role of the government has now become very limited.
Rijiju further said that until the procedure for the appointment of judges changes, the issue of high judicial vacancies will keep cropping up before us. This when the Apex Court pulled up the government earlier this month over delays in the appointment of judges and said that the government cannot delay the process because NJAC didn't pass the constitutional test.
कहीं ना कहीं मुझे लगता है कि हमारा सदन का जो भावना है, देश की जनताओं का भावना है, उसके मुताबिक हम काम नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। इसलिए मैं यहां से बहुत ज्यादा कोर्ट के बारे में टिप्पणी में इसलिए नहीं करना चाहता हूं क्योंकि कभी-कभी लगता है कि जो अधिकार कोर्ट को दिए हैं उस पे सरकार हस्तक्षेप कर रहे हैं। लेकिन आप संविधान का प्रावधान देखेंगे तो अपॉइंटमेंट का प्रोसेस और अपॉइंटमेंट का जो प्रोसीड्यूर है वो सरकार का ही अधिकार था और कोर्ट के साथ हमारा कंसल्टेशन चलता था। 93 के बाद वो चेंज हो गया। अपॉइंटमेंट को लेकर के जब तक हम नए व्यवस्था खड़ा नहीं करेंगे तब तक जजेस का वैकेंसी का इशू, अपॉइंटमेंट का सवाल उठते रहेगा।
India has successfully carried out night trials of the Agni-5 nuclear-capable ballistic missile, which can hit targets beyond 5,400 kilometers. This amid heightened tensions with China over clashes along the de facto border in Arunachal Pradesh last week.
The test was carried out to validate new technologies and equipment on the missile that has proved that the missile can now hit targets further away than before. The nuclear-capable ballistic missile was fired from Abdul Kalam Island off the coast of Odisha, and this is the 9th flight of the Agni-5, a missile first tested in 2012 and was a routine test according to the Defence Ministry. But like Ankita was mentioning, the distance that it can travel, this basically, Ankita, means that it can strike China.
And of course, it's being seen as significant, even though this was a previously announced test, the fact that it's happened just days after those border clashes in the Tawang area.
Now, thousands of nurses have walked off their jobs in England, joining ambulance and postal workers, bus drivers and airport baggage handlers who have staged strikes or planned this from this month on.
The Royal College of Nursing in the United Kingdom said emergency hospital care would continue as normal. Nurses will still staff chemotherapy, neonatal and pediatric intensive care units, but many less urgent hospital treatments will be affected across England, Wales and Northern Ireland.
Although nurses did not plan to strike as far as Scotland is concerned, but this action has been described as the biggest by nurses since the United Kingdom's National Health Service was established back in 1948.
Well, what's it all about? Well, a lot of public sector workers across the board are demanding better pay as inflation and cost of living really goes up, and people are finding it very hard, especially with higher fuel bills right now in what appears to be a very cold winter in the United Kingdom. Meanwhile, the 8-day-long Kolkata International Film Festival 2022 opened with some very important remarks made by legendary actor Amitabh Bachchan and Shah Rukh Khan. The festival was presided over by the Bengal Chief Minister.
Well, Bollywood superstar Shah Rukh Khan spoke up on the issue of social media toxicity and cancel culture, sending out a call for positivity in remarks that assume significance amid protests against his upcoming movie Pathaan. He said that whatever the world does, we will remain positive.
The collective narrative of our times is shaped by social media. And contrary to the belief that the spread of social media will affect cinema negatively, I believe cinema has an even more important role to play now. Social media is often driven by a certain narrowness of view that limits human nature to its baser self. I read somewhere that negativity increases social media consumption and thereby increases its commercial value as well. Such pursuits enclose the collective narrative, making it divisive and destructive. एक डायलॉग बोल देता हूं कोई मैं आपके सामने. अपनी कुर्सी की पेटी बांध लीजिए. मौसम बिगड़ने वाला है. और कुछ दिनों से हम लोग यहां पर नहीं आए हैं, आप लोगों से मुखातिब नहीं हो पाए हैं, आप लोगों से मिल नहीं पाए हैं, लेकिन अब दुनिया जो है नॉर्मल हो गई है. हम सब खुश हैं, मैं सबसे ज्यादा खुश हूं और ये बात बताने में मुझे बिल्कुल भी आपत्ति नहीं है कि दुनिया कुछ भी कर ले, मैं और आप लोग और जितने भी पॉजिटिव लोग हैं सब के सब जिंदा हैं.
Nevertheless, within this larger conversation about cultural retellings of two world wars, it is important to look at how India's film industry responded and how it filtered stories of valor and sacrifice through the prism of cinema and the country's own struggle for freedom. One kind of control led to another. Since the 1909 Act made licenses necessary for public screenings, local authorities used this to regulate not just the conditions in which the film would be screened, but also the content of the film itself. After a few confusing years with everyone making up their own rules, the British Board of Film Censors was formed in the year 1912. By this time, Indians were not only watching films, but also making their own films. With one eye on the freedom movement, the Indian Cinematograph Committee of 1927-28, chaired by a former Madras High Court Judge T. Rangaracharya, was the first inquiry into movie viewing, censoring and exhibiting habits in the country. Though Indian cinema wasn't exactly prurient in the 1920s and 30s except for some passionate kisses, like the most famous one in Karma, made in 1933, involving a snake and a tearful Devaka Rani trying to bring a comatose Himanshu Rai back to life. The British, however, had bigger problems to tackle than a few on-screen smackers. What they really dreaded was the threat of communal discord and the expression of nationalistic sentiment. Any mention of British excesses was forbidden and enough reason to earn an outright ban. And of course, there was the ultimate bête noire, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Listed in the Journal of the Modern Picture Society of India in 1937 are several titles of banned newsreels featuring the Mahatma.